My name is Saraswathi, and this is Sandhya, who's the person who's going to present the webinar today. Welcome, everyone. It's been a very, very long time cherished dream to bring focused attention to food and to see how, through some intervention and support, we can learn how to change the way we eat so that we are healthier, happier, and really be able to progress on the path of yoga. Because over the period of time, I have realized more than anything else, because one thing is the mind, the most important thing, that's why we are in yoga. But apart from the mind, and even to influence the mind, food is very important. So everything finally comes down to food, what you eat, right? And once you realize that, it's not easy to make changes because we are so deeply conditioned with our food habits, and we also have a lot of emotional bondages to food. So making changes, as much as we know they're important and sometimes very, very crucial, it's still very, very difficult to make these changes. So it is not just about having the information and knowing what is good for me, what is not good for me. With all the information and abundance of information, and also a lot of wrong information that we have around there, we are very complacent to some extent about making changes with the food. It's like, I don't want to see that part. No, I don't want to look at it. So when students come to me for therapy, they say, I eat healthy, organic, vegetarian food, or I eat very healthily. That's it, period. It's like I made a statement and then that's it. That's the end of it. Don't talk about it. But when you start probing, you start seeing what are all the problems with the food. And we don't relate a lot of things to food. For example, pain in the body. You know that there is a pain clinic close by, and they have different kinds of specialists coming there, from neurologists to physiotherapists to skin specialists and everyone. They should be having a yoga therapist there, or they should be having a nutritionist there more than anything else, because pain is so directly relating to food. What I eat today, I will know tomorrow in my body. Immediately, my body is going to respond. How much I'm tuned to it, how much I'm aware of it is a different story. But it does reflect on the body. So particularly with chronic pain, how much we have to pay attention to food. And that's the last thing that people talk about. Doctors don't even address that issue. Sometimes they will just give you some minor tips. They'll say, okay, don't eat spicy food, or avoid this or avoid that. But they really don't delve into it. So I studied nutrition for 5 years, modern nutrition. And I don't know why I took up nutrition. I think that was what they offered. I took it up. And in the 5 years, I didn't really study much about eating, what I have to eat, what I have to eat, and what is good for me, right? Even though we studied a lot about physiology and food chemistry and understanding the biochemistry of food and the processing and the nutrition balance of the body, so many technical things, but simple things like how should I eat my food? When should I eat? How to relate hunger and food, right? All of those things were missing in my learning. And luckily, I was beginning to study Ayurveda at that time as part of my teacher training program in yoga. And this completely changed my understanding of food. And so I've gone very far away from modern nutrition and embraced Ayurvedic perspective on food and lifestyle, because in Ayurveda, they say ahara is the first thing. Ahara is food. So you first treat with food, then you treat with lifestyle changes, only then you go to medication. You don't directly go to medication. So we see food is very, very important. In yoga, the first step is Kriya Yoga, yoga in action. And tapas is the first aspect of Kriya Yoga. Tapas means primarily, according to Krishnamacharya, control or discipline with your tongue, which is responsible for two actions. One is eating and the other is speech. So again and again and again, Krishnamacharya stresses on the importance of food for a practitioner, for somebody who's aspiring to be on the path of yoga, somebody who really wants to improve the sattva guna, reduce the rajoguna and the tamoguna. If that has to happen, we really have to look at the food. Okay, so there are enough and more reasons why we need to pay attention to food, but it's like an elephant in the room. Most of the time, we want to pretend that it is not there. The problem is not there. But it's a huge problem today in the world because food is just so freely, easily accessible today than ever before. The switch of my button, I can get any kind of food come and delivered at my doorstep. In India, that's become a huge problem. It's a great possibility, but it's a huge problem. So I think it is the right time for us to really, really start looking at food with a magnifying lens and see now how can I take those little steps to move in the direction of better health and well-being. Okay. And really be the change makers in our family, in our community. It's not going to be easy, but somewhere, some of us have to start that journey. Yeah, as parents, as teachers, I think who we are and how we work with our own food and lifestyle is going to impact other people. What you tell will not enter. Who you are and how you live will definitely inspire people. So that's the reason we wanted to offer this program. And I've known Sandhya for a long time now, and I've really seen her blossom as a person who's really so dedicated and committed to this cause. You know, she's not somebody who simply has learned something and is teaching it. She attempts to practice everything that she is bringing to the people and really interested in hand-holding people and helping them see that change for themselves. So I have also benefited from Sandhya's advice on food, and I wanted to share her wisdom with all of you. So over to Sandhya. Thank you for joining today. And we want to hear more about what this 4-month program is going to be about. And before that, share a little bit about yourself and your journey.
Okay, sure. Thank you, Saras. That was a very meditative listening. For whatever you're saying about food, it was like a beautiful poem to just listen to it. And yeah, so about me, I also studied nutrition and dietetics for 5 years. And I did internship in across all fields, food industry and then hospital industry, and then in the hotel industry also. Then I started working as a fitness professional in a wellness studio. That's how my journey started. Then I took a break. In Indian context, once you're married, many things shift. So, when you have children and all of that. So I quit working. And then for about 6-7 years, I was very contented as a homemaker. But then my journey with food always continued because this is when actually I'm going to implement things. I'm going to see the reality. I'm going to see the child growing and then what is the impact of these things on the child. And actual nutrition learning started here. Actually, when I was pregnant, that's when this question of how do I nourish this child and make her really healthy. My grandmother can just get up like spring from the floor in her 80s, but my mother is not able to. How can I bring this concept of health that my grandmother had? And how is it possible was the question in my mind. That's when I started meeting. Naturally, it happened because the question was there in the mind. I think I attracted people in my life. I met a farmer who was 80 plus in his age, who was organically farming and living a life in a certain rhythm, in a certain way. Okay, so this inspired then the whole organic movement. This was about 10-15 years back when the concept of organic farming itself was not much famous in India, at least in Tamil Nadu, it was not at all famous. So that's when I realized that, the food I'm eating, the dals or even the rice that I'm eating is actually processed. It has lost so much of nutrition. And there is a possibility to get better nutrition from soil, which is good in nutrition, instead of just feeding the chemicals to the soil. So this learning started initially. And then we went to a farm and had a farm-based living. So when I had to do that, when I had to be in a farm, now I need systems to make a better survival without the regular medical systems. So this is when I started exploring homeopathy and then Ayurveda, and then learning that certain preventive measures that you can take in life and have a certain rhythm with it will actually prevent a lot of disorders and the need to actually go and seek help from the medical system. So this is about the journey of learning, homeopathy. Not that I'm a well-versed person in homeopathy, but I just know the basics, how to use flower remedies for what, for my children. Then with Ayurveda, the exploration became huge because now the understanding of each food is not only from the Western spectacle, but also from the dosha spectacle. And how am I today? What is the seasonal change? What is the body saying about my dosha? Whether I can eat this today or whether it is not okay today. For example, buttermilk is not something you can always take it. There are certain days it's going to be helpful to the body, but there are certain days it can be more harmful to the body. So this whole understanding began then after this exploration. And by then I had this craving in mind to do something. I was not contented as a homemaker any longer. This craving began in me. And that's when actually Saras insisted, why don't you do a workshop? So she is the one who actually initiated the process. From there, it was few workshops here and there. From there, I became a practitioner. Now I'm a holistic and integrative nutrition practitioner. And in the past 4 or 5 years, I've established a setup. So it has a brand, and then easily I'm meeting 100 to 150 people per year and hand-holding them in their healing process, helping them reverse their diabetes, helping them reverse their skin conditions, and then obesity. And in doing all this, it's not only the modern nutrition or it's not only Ayurveda. It is an integrative approach to see what can actually help this person. Yeah, so that's about my journey. And yeah, about the course. So with this background, now I want to present to people a possibility to establish few more dimensions of healing as you are healer already. For example, if someone is yoga teacher, can they understand food from the Western and the Ayurvedic perspective also? So the moment they see a client, because you are also in a closer proximity to a client, and they will be able to believe you and then give you more information. So now you have the possibility of healing them better and hand-holding them better. However, yoga will be helpful in certain cases. It is primarily food. Sometimes a person may not even practice asana on certain days, but they will definitely eat food. So if some principles of food can be integrated, then it's going to create a huge shift in the healing potential and the possibility. So that is what made me feel that I think it's time to create the course and then present it to all the healing professionals and give the integrated approach.
So sometimes the whole fear around making changes with food, all of us struggle with it. One is that I may believe in something and I may want to make the change, but my family has different eating habits, and people can be very uncomfortable with saying, okay, now this is what you have to eat, or this is how much you have to eat. And that's one area where we do face a lot of challenge. And the other thing is that there's just so much information out there that I think, I mean, if I just want to know something, there are so many things out there that will like totally confuse me. And we start trying this and then we leave that, and then we try something else, we leave that. So we keep moving from one thing to the other, right? So we are not able to make any kind of sustainable change. One is the actual challenge in implementing something. And the other is because of the abundance of information and the mind also wanting quick results. We keep moving from one thing to the other. How do you look at your course meeting these two challenges?
Okay. So this course will not be just a course of some lectures in a periodic phase, periodically. It will be more than the lectures. There will be discussions around the topic on the same day. And there will also be a nurturing WhatsApp group where if one is having a certain kind of issue or certain questions, or they're meeting a client with a particular issue and then they need more inputs on it, we will always have time to discuss that. Along with this, as a person learns more about whatever I'm saying about the integrated approach or learning the modern nutrition or the Ayurvedic way of looking at it, they will also be doing what they are learning. So once we do what we learn, then the understanding improves, and there will also be hand-holding in this doing process, along with a customized consultation for each one of them, apart from the regular classes. So they also get to know what is my life, what is my fingerprint, what is it that I should be doing, what would be more ideal to me in this season, and what is not really ideal for me if it is a seasonal change, or what could it be if I'm going to travel, and how all I can modify. Yeah, so it's both personalized, and there will be a group hand-holding apart from the learning sessions. And also the second part of the course, which will be after the first 6 sessions, is more on case study. So there'll be specific 2-3 cases on particular topic. For example, acidity, how different types of people or different types of acidity exist, how all we can deal with it. For example, obesity. So I had one client who was very obese, and she said she doesn't eat much. Okay. And actually she was not eating much. So now I had to dig deeper on why is this happening, because the general principle is if you eat less, you will lose weight. Yeah. So now this lens cannot be applied there because she's actually eating less. So now what is happening? Now dig into her stress levels. What's happening with her stress levels? How is her cortisol level? And what is her lifestyle? Is she even sleeping in the night? Is she prioritizing self-care and sleeping? Is she, and this is a person who exercises hardcore for 2.5 hours every single day, slogs in the gym. Is this even working for her? Yeah. So we feel that exercise is great, but it may not be great for some of us. It could be great for many, but not necessarily for a particular kind of person. So these types of cases will be discussed in detail. And this specific case, this person was basically highly stressed. So I had to tell her, stop gymming. See if you can do some breathing exercises. I'll put you in touch with an asana teacher. Just relax and do an hour's practice. If possible, go for a walk in the night after dinner. Just a gentle, normal paced walk. Eat proper home cooked meals thrice a day. Don't starve. Because here, the starvation mechanism has been kicked in because of stress. And that is what is causing all the issues with her. And she beautifully started losing 5 kgs every month, and life changed. Yeah. So like this, there will be different cases in specific topics like acidity, constipation, weight loss, weight gain, more common topics that each of us will be actually dealing with. So these things will be discussed in detail in the second part of the sessions.
And the other question I have is, sometimes we get too religious about this food. We also know about conditions like anorexia and all that, where go into an extreme level. And we're seeing this a lot in very young people nowadays.
Yes.
Like the whole idea of body image, and I have to be very thin. It's really crazy. If you're a Kapha Prakriti and you want to be like a Vata Prakriti, it's so unhealthy, right?
Yeah.
But that is what everything, the media and everything is constantly projecting to you and reinforcing in some way. You'll be also touching upon some of the eating disorders and maybe case studies or even some kind of a guidance on that aspect. The whole religiosity around food and very, very rigid ideas about this should be done this way or should not be. Tapas is also moderation. I might say, okay, I eat organic food. I can't be eating organic food all the time. I don't even have access to it. And if I eat something so pure all the time, then an occasional moving away from that can make me seriously ill also. How do you practice moderation? Have that balance, because you can't be all the time thinking only about food. You have your life to live, right?
Yes. So thought about food is definitely something that we can't give away, because anyway, at least thrice in a day, we are going to be hungry. Of that, how easy can it be on us? Some days we'll have the strength to make it elaborate and enjoy it. But some days, if it's a compromise, am I going to compromise and go and eat out something that is totally unhealthy? Or am I going to be mindful there and choose certain things that are largely healthy for me, that my health is not screwed up the next day? Or can I just make something one pot, one shot that day and make it very simple on? What is this person willing to negotiate? I think this is how I deal with people. And one more example, the people who are caught up with this organic concept, It is definitely important to eat organic for the benefit of, the earth and for us also. But people actually conveniently ignore certain things like coffee, where it is not organic most of the times. And just an hour before, I had a client who said, no, I can't eat greens because, it has a lot of chemicals and pesticides, right? And you're asking me to eat greens. I said, then what about your coffee? You're having 8 cups of coffee in a day, and coffee is the most polluted drink in the world. But you're not willing to see that it has so much chemicals. And so when I have a slight dislike for some food preparation, I bring in all reasons saying that it is not organic, so I'm not eating it. So this part will be broken. First, eat and respect whatever is on in front of you, and as much as possible, make it home prepared or at least processed. Yeah, and extremism is never advised, and Ayurvedically we never speak of extremism.
Yeah, yeah.
And also we have to bring in the understanding of not only from Ayurvedic perspective on Vata, Pitta and Kapha type, also in modern science we have 3 different frames of body. So if we understand that, then we will understand that, okay, this is a Kushbu or that heroine type where the body is broader and it will have a certain kind of muscle build. Now, when we relate this to Ayurvedic sense also, that this is a Kapha Prakriti. Yeah. So when I bring in foods, here I can bring in a little amount of salads. But with Vata Prakriti, but because some weight gain has happened because of that, if I'm going to bring in salads, it's going to be very, very unhelpful. And I'm often meeting clients who say, I eat salads, but I'm constipated. So the first thing that I'm having to do is stop eating salads, eat every vegetable cooked, add enough oil to the food. So sometimes we get into this template of less oil or no oil instead of understanding what is this body actually needing. And they end up depriving. So all of these concepts will definitely be discussed from both spectacles with some examples on cases also.
The other aspect is the state of mind. One thing that I'm very happy that we are bringing into yoga teachers and therapists, of course, open to everyone. The yoga practice itself helps you to become more aware of your relationship with your body, relationship with your breathing, and how it is impacted by the food that you eat the previous night. How's my practice in the morning? It makes me, some foods make me very tamasic and heavy. Some foods make me very agitated and restless. So to be able to identify that relationship and actually say what makes me feel lighter and have more clarity and more energy to do what I want to do. And the whole thing hinges on the food that we eat, right? So I hope we can also touch upon that aspect. And because your state of mind is also the one which is going to decide what I will eat. Like, let's say you're very hungry and agitated, you go to a supermarket and shop for food, you will end up buying all the wrong foods because you're hungry and you're agitated, right? So your state of mind defines whether you go for a piece of cake or an apple when you're hungry, right? It's so easy to make that choice. When the mind is more sattvic, you'll choose what is healthy. If it is more tamasic or rajasic, you'll choose what is unhealthy. Right? And so the practice helps you to navigate and move from the unwholesome choices to the wholesome choices. And the food helps you to improve your practice. So both are have a very strong relationship, symbiotic relationship. Yes. So that's another aspect that I think we need to look at.
Yeah, and sometimes I'm also meeting a lot of yoga teachers, right? As much as they practice or teach yoga, the yoga off the mat is not happening. You accept classes in 7:30 or 8 or 9 p.m. in the evening, and what's going to happen to your sleep and your food? And to your family. So they also need sunlight. They also need sleep at night, apart from the yoga practice and teaching yoga during the day. So yoga off the mat also needs to happen, and that can happen largely with food and proper lifestyle.
Sometimes when we teach something a lot, we almost assume that we are doing it. Yes. Yoga calls it Bhranti Darshan. I think I'm already doing it, but actually I'll be very far from it. I'll only be talking about it.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
very often I meet this kind of people who say, I'm very active. Actually, if we measure, they're basically tired. So they think they are very active, but they would have walked only 2,000 to 3,000 steps in a day. So hardly any activity or any movement, but because the person is tired, I'm very active. That's the notion they have in their mind.
Yeah, we have to break a lot of these ideas, and so it's going to be exciting, I'm sure, and transformative. I really hope that this will bring a lot of clarity and inspiration for many of us to make that shift slowly but surely in the right direction.
Sure.
Does
Yeah.
the group have any questions to ask? Or maybe Sandhya, you can share a little more and then people might have some questions. If there's anything else you would like to share.
Okay. I see every stream of healing or every stream of health professional as a valid professional. Yeah, be it allopathy, be it homeopathy, be it Ayurveda, or be it physiotherapy, whatever it is. But the general notion that we get is more competitive instead of being integrative and bringing a holistic healing approach.
Yeah.
So if a healer, if you are a yoga therapist or if you are a physiotherapist or whatever therapist you are, you're already a healer and you have the healing potential in you. Now, if you could bring in one more layer or two more layers of things that interest you, of which one is certainly a food, because it's the most easiest way to connect with your clients and bring greater amount of healing in them. Yeah. So if the asana practice can bring in 40% of results along with proper food practice, it's going to double the result. So they're going to be with you and you have a group you will nurture with all aspects. So that is the capacity that I see in each healer and the healing possibility when they learn about especially the food aspect. So personally, I don't teach yoga, but I've been practicing yoga for quite a long time. So I know that these things will be helpful for them. So I guide my clients that you have to start practicing yoga. If they say they can't, I at least sit in Vajrasana for 5 minutes in a day. Or if you can't do Vajrasana, then do this modification. So that level of reach is possible because I'm integrating yoga. I'm also into energy healing. So my understanding template of people is through energy. More than what they say, one can connect with the energy and see what it is actually. So some clients may actually not even say that they have pain in the body because to them, they think that they're coming for weight loss. But for me, it is holistic healing. So now the question is about stress. And then with energy, you will naturally be able to say that, hey, is this the spot where you feel the pain? So that comes. And so because of that, yoga comes, and then some layer of coaching comes. And then some Ayurvedic remedy also comes there, and the modern spectacle of nutrition also comes there. So the result is fantastic. And then they adhere to you, and then they give you 100 references. So this is how I grew. But when I learned all of this, I didn't know that it's going to be integrated and it's going to be useful. I just learned, I was naturally attracting it, but this is how it became now. So I'm super excited about launching something which is going to integrate many of the practices and then building the healing potential among people that I meet.
Now, I wanted to ask you, a lot of people ask, first of all, how much change we're able to bring about with our food. Unless we start practicing, we won't know, right? A lot of people ask, what should I eat and what should I not eat? I need to know that. Particularly when we study Ayurveda, there's a huge interest in, I am Vata dosha, what should I eat, what should I not eat? I am Pitta dosha, what should I? First of all, we're never one dosha. We're a combination of all the three, right? And our constitution is very, very unique, like thumb imprint. So, in fact, our Ayurveda doctor says, don't worry too much about Prakriti because we don't understand Prakriti. We only know Vikriti. We are in imbalance most of the time, and that is what we know. So understand your Vikriti and see how to bring balance. But as much as people are asking, what should I do? What should I not eat? Or what should I eat? The actual practice, how much is it happening? It's a
Hmm.
huge question.
Hmm.
Okay, we try to assess that as teachers when people write their feedback. We give them some advice. We tell teachers don't advise too much. Don't give them 10 things to do and not to, because nobody is going to follow it.
Hmm.
Tell them 1 or 2 things that they can change. When they come back next time, ask them, were they able to follow it? And if they say yes and no, understand why, how yes and why no. So you're able to really understand their process of how are they working with that challenge, right? And I'm sure you also will be dealing with this a lot, right? This like a very important aspect of how you're going to facilitate somebody to make changes in their food habits, right? Can you
Yes.
talk about that maybe with some examples?
Yes. So, first of all, when we speak about food and whatever advice we give, more than speaking on do's and don'ts, how to enable the person and bring them to a certain practice. For example, if someone says, I will not have time for food preparation. Now ask them about their food routine or the daily routine in their life, what time they're waking up, what's happening. And if we explore and dig deeper there, then we'll get to know that these are the places where the time is actually going wasted. And these are the principles that the people are actually holding to. I will only cut and chop vegetables at that point and prepare it fresh and eat. Otherwise, I'll just order it out totally. Yeah, these are the classic examples of people that I hate.
Yeah.
So now I'm having to tell them that when I ask them, then why don't you just chop it the previous day? Is it, oh, then the nutrition will go away? This is the common question. Okay. So now you have to put a spectrum in front of them saying, see, growing by yourself, harvesting, reaping that day, that food is great. But it is not possible for one's own life because you're not living that kind of life. Now, here is the other extreme of eating all meals outside and feeling miserable about health, but you think that you don't have time. Why? Because there is this principle that I will only buy that day and then shop that day and prepare that day and eat, otherwise totally outside. Now, can we bring some mindfulness and some amount of moderation where I stop eating outside? I make things, it is okay if my vegetable is chopped previous day, but at least I am preparing something at home and eating. So now if I'm going to have only 15 minutes for food preparation, I use it properly for cooking and then taking that for the day. Yeah, so this is my usual approach instead of getting into the extreme of no, you should only wash and then you should never have the fruits cut, or these kinds of ideal ways of doing things actually make people get scared to even do it or even to attempt it. So more than being ideal, can we make it practical and easy on the person? So this approach has helped them to stay motivated and to be able to do it, and it enables them. So when we give do's and don'ts, they just run away from it. The possibility of following at least 4 things out of 10 things will not be there. But when we enable them, they at least try and follow 8 things, if not 10 things. Sometimes I may even say, it's okay to repeat the morning meal in the evening. As long as you eat on time, it's okay. Instead of coming back home and then preparing and eating a dinner at 9:30 or 10 in the night, it's okay to have the same rice and a simple curry and some simple gravy along with it at 6:30. But if you can make it at 6:30, then the shift is huge. So some people have the ability to prepare fresh food through the day, but some may not have. We as healing professionals should be willing to listen to what is the possibility in their life. Like as yoga teachers, sometimes you will be giving practice only for 15 minutes if they're going to have only 15 minutes. But if someone can accommodate an hour's practice in a day, then we always give them an hour's practice in a day. Likewise with food also, we can do this game of what is better today than leaving things completely off. And this will definitely be taught because each of them are going to also have a personalized session where they will understand that this is a possibility, that these things can be done easier on me.
And I think another strength is to work as a community. Many of us are studying together, teaching together. We are also doing some work together. We are working with our students. We are exchanging ideas. So it also helps to stay on the path and really work through that rather than feeling like it's a lonely journey.
Certainly. Group energy has its own momentum. And so if I'm going to share a picture of food that I have eaten today, even if there is another person who might not be inclined to do it, by seeing this, there is a certain acceleration inside you. At least the next meal is sorted.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of motivation and there is inspiration and there is group learning where you have a certain question, you post it there, 10 people learn because of your question. So all of these things has a huge possibility. So group work has its own energy, along with it some personalization and a lot of sharing on case studies, along with the information also. Which is again, you get information on Ayurveda or you get information on modern nutrition. But both together as a template to somebody who comes with a certain issue, how can it be applied? So that will be the whole process of this 4-month course.
Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Hello, good evening.
Hi.
I am.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi. We have met a long time back in Yoga Vahini also.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I don't remember, but
no problem.
happy
No
to meet
problem.
you.
Yeah. So I'm interested to do the course. But I also I'm working as a trainer. So are we likely to get the recordings of the days when we are not able to attend, and then get back to you with our doubts or any clarifications?
Yes, definitely the recordings will be shared because we understand that each of us are from different time zones and might have sessions on those times on certain days.
Right.
It'd be good if you can attend the sessions, largely plan for it because the dates are already announced.
Yeah.
But in case you are not able to attend it, you can always listen to the recording and come back with questions with the next session or in the group.
Sure. Saras, do we also plan to give any certification for us who are doing it? Because then as a yoga therapist and, some kind of deeper understanding of food and Ayurveda that we are trying to connect to our students, when we work with certain audience, might be that certificate is useful.
We definitely we can give a certificate from Yoga Vahini, but
I really don't know, but it's just a thought because
we can give a certificate
when we are working with a
be,
doctor or a set of people.
An APD provider, that kind of a thing. Then definitely we can give a certificate from
Participation of such course which cover this authority, right? Because these days when we talk about Ayurveda and the food, and for my batch of Yoga Vaidya, we were taught fully by Dr. Sudhir. So, a lot of, the learning has been very deep for us. And whatever learning that has been, it's really helping me when I am teaching my students and trying to help them with the food aspect. So I see a lot of value for us yoga therapists if we are able to bring in an alignment with food and nutrition in a proper way. So that's what my thought was. Yeah.
Sorry, I just have one quick question. Just picking up on what Alka said, because of the time zone, I'm in Canada, and so the course would actually be at like 1 a.m. for me. So it's going to be pretty, it'll basically be impossible for me to join the live sessions. Do you have any issues if I join I just can watch the videos to learn? Will there be any issues with that? Obviously, it sounds like there'll be a WhatsApp group that I can obviously be a part of that. But in terms of the online learning, I won't be able to be there live. So I just wanted to see if that would cause any issues.
Okay. It wouldn't be a problem, or it's just for the benefit of the group energy. But also, if many people are going to be from different time zone, then at least few sessions later, I would actually change the timing and offer it in a timing that is convenient for the larger group. or maybe one set of at least 1 or 2 meetings for people who are only from different time zones where we sit and discuss and answer the questions. That I can definitely do.
My feeling is just being for 4 months together and slowly going through this every fortnight and all the discussions that are going to happen is going to really shift something in the mind. We begin to see more, we become more aware, we start experimenting more, we start exploring certain possibilities that we never thought of before. And then we have also the group momentum. That will definitely help. So there are many, many factors that can come together for this change to happen. And 4 months is a good period. We were first thinking of 6 months and thought, okay, 6 months may be too much for people to commit. 3 months seems too less. Then we have arrived at 4 months. And it's going to end in December. So everybody has this January resolution to start with. So we're going to prepare people towards the next year so that you can begin the 2024 with with a lot of changes already in place. Vikram, do you have any questions?
Hi. No, not really. I mean, it's some specific question, but I'm sure it'll be addressed in the course more along. We've talked about food, but there's obviously age related, right? Like my parents, the way they're eating and what I'm eating, there's a big, I guess there needs to be a bigger difference. So whether we'll cover those sort of topics and water, right? As much as like I think Saras was talking about the level of information. People say everything from 3 liters to something. It's really so those sort of things would you cover, right? Age, water, those things as well.
Age factor, it can be incorporated, and water definitely yes. Even from the Western spectacle, it is not actually 3 liters or 5 liters. There is a specific calculation to the person's body weight.
Yeah.
So if we see on that, and if we see the amount of water that goes out of the system, then it's not the general 3 liters or 5 liters. So
yeah, and it's quite confusing because I drink a lot of water, but like you said, most of it is going out of the system, I think, half the time. So I don't know, am I over drinking? Am I so anyway, those were two.
Yes, it will be discussed how to even evaluate whether I'm hydrated enough and what is the actual calculation here and how all to get in the fluids. That will be discussed.
Okay, so we'll close the session for today. And we do have the information on the course. Viju, would you like to just share anything about the process of registration?
Yeah, so the link, I'll just share the link here for your own benefit for the full program details. I'm pasting it in the chat here. Of course, this will also be shared in the Sangha again, and we've also shared it in our mail and on our social networks also. So you will find everything that Sandhya has, talked about summarized over here, and there is the registration link for the full program here. You can follow the link, and if there's anything else you'd like to know, just please contact us at yvcoordinator@gmail.com. I'll put that to here.
Just put that down.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Thank you for joining today, and thank you, Sandhya, for being up this project. Yeah, so just add people who are not on our mailing list. If you're not receiving our newsletter or upcoming programs, can you please share your email IDs here, and would you please add them?
Thank you all for giving your time from the weekend, and thank you, Saras, for always motivating and encouraging for new things and giving me the space to express what I wanted to express. Thank you so much.